Let me jump on. You said something else there. It's something like equal rights, not extra rights. Can I ask what group you're referring to for extra rights?
Equal rights, not extra. When you talk about
getting extra rights?
When you talk about the Fair Housing Act, it's our job at HUD to uphold and to enforce the Fair Housing
Respectfully,
Act.
who's getting extra
And
rights?
so
that
we
you're
want
worried
to go.
about?
We want to go after real discrimination and not phantom discrimination.
Well, who's being phantomly discriminated against?
We want to go after real discrimination, sir, not phantom
all right,
discrimination.
then answer this question. Who's actually being discriminated against?
We're going after real discrimination.
Who? Okay. Does that
Equal rights?
I guess I got to
Fair
guess
Housing Act.
this is why
not
you cut
extra
HOPWA,
rights.
because you
it's
think
seven classes. It's seven
I'm
classes.
reclaiming
you
my
know
time.
This.
Uh-oh, new made-up problem just dropped. Let's see who's to blame for this phantom discrimination. I hope it's ghosts.
I'm going to take a wild guess that you think LGBTQ people are getting extra rights and privileges, which is why you cut HOPWA, despite the fact that NIH has said that many studies have shown that access to housing is associated with better outcomes. That's why HOPWA, that you cut completely, 90 and 95% of the people in HOPWA, supportive housing, are meeting their HIV medication goals. It's well below half for people who are homeless. So you cut housing, HOPWA grants. Is this because you think LGBTQ people are getting extra rights?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but whenever I see a homeless LGBTQ person, my first thought is always, man, I wish I had all the rights they do. But at least we know this is about rights, or phantom discrimination, and not just some cynical move to prioritize budgets over people, right? Natalie Portman in Star Wars, right?
Why cut, so disproportionately cut in HOPWA, why cut HOPWA?
Sir, we're on a budget. This is a budget. HOPWA is part of the budget. All American people are part of the
choices.
budget.
Why
We're
HOPWA?
not singling out HOPWA.
You single them out, you just cut them to zero. That's pretty much the definition of singling them
We
out.
proposed it to go to emergency solutions grant, sir. It's in the budget. You saw it.
Okay, well now it does seem like they're just actively discriminating against people and doing it by hiding behind the term government efficiency, which is weird because I'm actually old enough to remember a whole department of government efficiency whose stated goal was to reduce the deficit, which they failed at as they gutted the IRS and then gutted USAID, which has led to the deaths of 750,000 people, mostly children, conservatively speaking, and they compromised the Social Security information for hundreds of millions of Americans, which does raise the question, how is this administration so bad at everything?
You know you can't look yourself in the face and answer that.
I
You know
absolutely
the
can.
fact
Yes,
that,
sir.
that you're cutting this disproportionately impacts the LGBTQ community. And you put that together with extra rights for some groups, which you refuse to name, which is a really chicken way of not answering the question and not telling the American people you're discriminating against gay and lesbian people.
All right, so what are they talking about here? Okay, well, HOPWA stands for Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV/AIDS. Now, housing is really important, but it's especially important if you have a disease like HIV, and this program has previously had bipartisan support because back in the day, the two parties would be able to reach across the aisle in mutual agreement that death is bad, but let's not get all nostalgic just yet. So that was Representative Mike Quigley grilling House and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner on why this administration has decided to cut housing and urban development's resources by 50%. And the reason is, of course, all of these extra rights. We're handing out rights left and right here. It's kind of what we're known for. It's like rights, like living and breathing and surviving. And the reason I say that is because these cuts will put people out on the street, as Representative Quigley noted, and people will end up dying. And if we weren't living in the upside down right now, people dying would be considered like a bad thing, but for this administration, it's really kind of more of an MO, because in addition to throwing Hopwa in the trash, along with all of the human beings it regularly would save, it also cuts continuum of care programs for chronically homeless individuals. It also completely cuts funds for emergency housing vouchers that provide housing for 70,000 individuals and families at risk of homelessness, domestic violence, or human trafficking, among other things. And if all of this makes you a little depressed, congratulations, folks. You have a soul, which makes you one step ahead of this administration. But let's not forget, okay, at one point in this exchange, Secretary Scott Turner says to Quigley, "Don't worry, I'm a man of faith," to which Quigley responds, "Well, faith can't put a house over people's heads," which is very true. Anyway, I'm starting to think that maybe these people shouldn't be in charge of helping people, because I don't think they're good at it. I'm starting to think they don't even want to be good at it. You know what I mean? Anyway, but what do I know? Stay safe out there, folks. There's a lot of phantom discrimination out there, and it can pop up anywhere, except for the fact that it doesn't exist, and it sounds like a totally made-up term. Anyway, I'll see you next time. You gotta love when a talking point sounds so much like a talking point that you can almost see in your head when they came up with it. Phantom discrimination. Call it phantom discrimination, because that sounds better than what it actually is, which is social murder.